Hello everyone. Today we're looking at a Motorola Microtac Lite. These came out in 1991. This particular one, actually, going by the date of the serial and model, is dated. I think it's dated March 1993. So this isn't quite as old as when they first launched them. But still, if you think about it, this phone is 20 years old, over 20 years old now. So I think it's quite collectible. This one's in fair condition. This is one I picked up off of eBay because this was a limited edition. I don't know what the difference is between the limited edition and the non-limited edition, actually, purely because the only other one I've ever seen is the VIP version of this, which is all black with a red display, and obviously the loaner ones, which are the white bone colored ones. I'll fire this up in a second, but fundamentally these are not to be confused with ultralights, which look like this, or digital lights, which look like this. Fundamentally, I think they're pretty much the same phone. It's just that the Lite was only for use on the AMPS cellular type network, whereas the ultralight was as well. But the digital light was for use on predominantly AMPS, but it was also TDMA compatible, which is why they called it a digital light. Fundamentally, I think these two are the same, the Lite and the ultralight. It's just that they released the Lite, and then a while after that they released the ultralight because it was a little bit lighter than the Lite. I do think fundamentally these are pretty much the same phone. I haven't gone through the menu yet and compared them like for like, but they are pretty much identical. It's just the volume buttons are slightly different in design, but fundamentally there really isn't much difference apart from obviously the color. But these are available in the darker gray as well. I just don't have one in my collection yet. So yeah, basically, let's fire this one up and just see what we can get out of it. Of course, the old batteries are all NiCads, and a NiCad really doesn't last 20 years. So I have a more up-to-date battery, which is an extended one as well. So hopefully that will give us a bit of juice to fire up this. This one has an orange display, which is quite uncommon. Normally you'd get the green display. So maybe that's the reason why it's limited edition. I don't know. But yeah, so we can just check what number it was. So 415-264-8041. I don't know whose number that is. That's obviously the number that was assigned to this cell phone, which I bought off eBay. So if that used to be your number and you owned one of these, what can I say? Congratulations, your phone's on YouTube. With respect to actually using these, obviously they shut off analog cell towers about 14-15 years ago. So these are pretty much useless now in terms of making or receiving calls. They don't obviously support any sort of messaging function like an SMS or something. But I think it's pretty cool the way the displays still work, because these have 8 blocks of LEDs, and if you look really closely you can just about tell. I'm just going to try and zoom in and wait for the camera to focus, and hopefully that will pick it up before it automatically shuts. No, that doesn't seem to work. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell, but each number is in a block, and each one of those tiny little LEDs that lights up makes up the number. And of course, these types of LEDs displays really use up a lot of battery. So there isn't really much else I have to say about this phone. Of course, it has the extendable make-believe antenna. These are just plastic, like I said in my other video. But still, I think it's a cool phone. This one's branded GTE, obviously, and I don't know where that cell provider still operates or not. you can press recall hash and then hash again and hash or pound, and that will give you the number of minutes this phone has received calls. Let's try that again. So cumulative is what you want. So in total, this has been used for 771 minutes. That's just over about 10 hours. Actually, it's near 11 hours, give or take. So actually, it's not had a bad life overall. So yeah, the other phone I want to show you, which is identical to this, is this Lite. The bone phones generally were limited editions in a sense that they were only available to very rare business customers, and also these were loaner phones because if your cell phone was broken and you went to a repair shop and they sent it away for repairs, they would program up one of these and lend the loaner phone to you while your phone was being repaired. And what's interesting to note, even though this is the same phone in essence, what's interesting to note is that the name and menu button on this one on my left doesn't work. I mean, I'll fire this up in a minute. It doesn't have a battery on it, but even if you press it, the display lights up, but it actually, in terms of what it does on the screen in the menu, it's not activated. So there is a special bit of software on these that will not let you enter the menu or change the settings of some sort, or even put your own name and numbers in as a phone book, which is quite interesting, really, because they didn't want to have to clear out the phone book every time the phone returned from customers. So let's fire this one up and see if you can get this fired up. Right, so this one has the really bright red display, which sets it off, and they're quite rare, the red displays. They're like the 98X display, and that won't focus, will it, for some reason? There we go. So yeah, so you can just about see the little tiny LEDs that make up each of the numbers. So what I mean when I said earlier that the name and menu button doesn't actually do anything, if I press it, the keypad lights up, which means it's connected to something, but it doesn't make a sound, and it doesn't actually do anything in terms of going into a menu. Even if you press function and then menu, it is actually disabled. In software it's disabled, which is quite bizarre, I think, but I guess they had their reasons for doing it at the time. The buttons are pretty much identical on both phones, and like I said, these are both in pretty good condition. So yeah, there isn't really much more I can say about this, because we can't place a call or anything, because it's unfortunate that this type of technology is no longer in use where we are. But yeah, so, and actually going from the date, this one is the date, going by the date of the serial number and the model number. This one is dated September 1993. So this one's coming up to, well, this is 20 years old now, really. And actually, what I will show you is a counter, because I don't think this has ever been assigned a number. So if we do recall pound, so yeah, this will be the number that it comes out of the factory with, just all ones. So this has, I don't think, ever been assigned a number. So yeah, cumulative counter is all zeros. So this hasn't placed or received a single call. It has no minutes on the clock. So this is brand new. Brand new, never been used for a test call even, which I think is pretty cool, given that this is 20 years old. So cool. Don't forget to check out my other videos and some other rare Microtacs, and also some tips on how to unlock some of them, particularly the ones that you can still use to this day that take SIMs. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.